So today we will study about the heat transfer and thermal expansion, right? So first we will study about heat, right? And when we apply heat on any solid body, then its length will increase or its dimension will change. So as we know, energy exists in many forms, right? So all of the form of energy. So heat is also the form of energy, right? So heat energy but put out by the sun. So ultimate source of energy क्या है आपका? Sun produce lot amount of heats. ठीक है? And here the definition of heat is written. Heat is a form of energy that flow from one body to another body due to temperature difference between them. Suppose a body A having temperature 100 degrees Celsius and another body having temperature 25 degrees Celsius B. When we connect A and B together, then heat flow from A body to B body because A is having higher temperature than that of B. That's why heat flow from A to B, right? So heat is the form of energy and its flow from higher temperature to lower temperature. And its unit is joule. SI unit is joule. So right up to this point. Now look at the next point. Sun is the most important and naturally offering source of heat energy. So sun is the ultimate source of heat energy. It produces large amount of heat constantly, okay, being produced on the surface of Earth due to process of nuclear fusion, right? So nuclear fusion is happening on the sun. So when hydrogen atom combine with the hydrogen atom, that is called fusion. Fusion means combination and fission means अलग होना, ठीक है? Separate one another means fission, and when we are combining each other, that is called fusion. So nuclear fusion is happening on the sun, so that due to this process it produces large amount of heat. However, only a fraction of this heat is sufficient to sustain on the life. So this amount of energy is required for our life. Okay. Radiation is made up of heat transfer in which material medium is not required. So light doesn't require any medium to travel from one point to another points because it can travel in the vacuum also. It doesn't require medium. Medium means like liquid, solid, gas, like air, water, any molecules. It doesn't require any medium for transfer. So heat transfer from one body to another by this process called radiant of heat. So heat from the sun received as a radiant heat, right? So this is the diagram given to you. Heat and light is coming from the sun, and this evaporation and condensation causes rain. The stored water is used for the generation in hydroelectric power, right? So various process happens on the earth. So these are the process given which is happening on the earth surface. Plants make food in the presence of sunlight, right? Here this is plants in which sunlight is required for the preparation of this food, for his food. Human and animals eat plants, right? So sun is the ultimate source of the energy. So write these points.
Yes, sir.
So this chapter revises the mode of heat transfer in matter and discuss an important effect of heat. Expansion and contraction causes due to change in temperature. Okay, due to heat transfer, you can expand the matter and also you can contract the matter due to change in temperature, right? Suppose there is an iron rod of having length L is equal to 1 meter. If you want to expand its length, so by hitting this iron hammer on this, so it will increase its length from 1 meter to like 1.5 meter, right? And if you want to decrease its length, so first hit this iron rod, then it will contract. So its length will decrease like 0.5 meter it will become. So by heating you can do expansion and contraction also. Yeah, write this point. So this property of thermal expansion of matter has many practical consequences, useful as well as harmful, right? So heat transfer and heat expansion is also useful and harmful both. Next point is mechanical weathering causes change in the landform or soften result of this phenomenon. Due to mechanical weathering, our temperature of Earth is increasing now. So that due to that reason, our landform is also changes. So in very hot and dry region like desert, extreme temperature difference is there in the night and day and night. So it causes the rocks to break. When rocks contract and expand now, due to that reason, it breaks down, right? Due to the temperature difference between the night and daytime. So in this, there is one point during the day, rock become very hot and expand. And at the night time, rapid cooling downs due to contracts. So due to expansion and contraction, rocks breaks down into pieces. So this continuous expansion and contraction causes the rock to crack and eventually breaks up. Similarly, action is observed in cooler region where water fills up in the cracks and freezes into ice at the night. So anomalous expansion of water also causes the rocks to break up. Okay? So this is the reason due to which our earth structure is changing due to temperature increases. Right? Right the point. Next point is temperature and heat. So thermodynamic temperature and heat. So thermo means होता है heat and dynamics means होता है change. So due to heat, when there is change, that is called thermodynamics. So movement of heat, it is the study of relationship between heat and energy. Okay. A fundamental law of thermodynamics states that if A and B are in thermal equilibrium with the third body, then A and B are also said to be thermal equilibrium with each other. Right? I will explain you what by the example. Suppose A is thermal equilibrium with the B, C, and B is also thermal equilibrium to the C. So C is common to both A and B. So this concludes that A is also thermal equilibrium with the B. That is called thermal equilibrium, right? When A is thermal equal to C and B is also equal to C, so that concludes A is also equal to B. So that is called thermodynamics. So next point is thermodynamics deals with the way in which heat energy travels from one place to another and how energy is converted into another form of energy. So heat basically explain how it flows from one body to another body. So in a heat transfer process, temperature, pressure, volume may also undergo various changes, right? Because there is an equation PV equal to nRT. This is ideal gas equation. So when temperature changes, pressure is also changes and volume is also changes, right? So that's why it is written here when heat transfer process occurs, temperature, pressure and volume also changes. So this is your pressure, this is your volume and this is your temperature. So both these three quantity changes when one quantity changes. So this is the effect of heat. Next is heat is the form of energy. So it may be measured in joule, erg or any other unit of energy. So unit of heat will be joule, erg or any units that belongs to energy. When heat is supplied to body, its temperature rises. Therefore, necessary to understand precisely what is meant by the word heat and temperature. So we have to understand what the mean by heat and temperature, right? So clearly it is not the same, but temperature is the kettle with little right? I will explain this one first, right up to this point.
So
How?
can you like explain the full thing?
Okay. So now we will understand what is the difference between heat and temperature. Clearly, we are not the same. Heat and temperature is different things. So this is the both are not same things. For this understanding, we take an example. Since the temperature of the kettle with very little water in it rises for much faster than that of full kettle, right? When heat is being supplied at the same rate, because suppose we are providing heat to this kettle, right? And one kettle is containing 100 ml and one is containing 1000 ml of water. So when we are providing same heat to the both these kettles, so kettle with less amount, it will its temperature will rise fast due to less amount, right? Consider a bowl of hot soap. Temperature recorded by the thermometer of the soup in the bowl are taken into the spoon and reads the same, right? The thermometer measures the average kinetic energy of the molecules of the soup around it. So thermometer क्या करता है? It measures the molecule temperature or kinetic energy. Although the soup doesn't hold as much as soup, molecules of the soup in the spoon have must just move up as fast as one on the boils. This means that average kinetic energy is same in the spoon and in the bowl. Hence, the thermometer reads the same in both the cases, right? In both the cases, it measures the same kinetic energy only. So, kinetic energy is movement of the particles which is moving around the ball or a spoon. So, this is the first example of heat and temperature. Look at the second point. Even though the soup in the bowl and the soup
Sir,
in
your
the
voice
spoon.
is going very. So I did not hear anything.
Can you hear me now? So even though the soup in the bowl and soup in the spoon have the same temperature, the same average kinetic energy, the boil holds more molecules. Therefore, total energy content is more. This explains why a bowl full of soup can transfer more heat energy to your skin than that of a, a spoonful. Temperature is the measure of average kinetic energy of the molecules in the body. For a certain temperature material, faster the molecules move, faster, higher is the temperature. So temperature is basically depends on the average kinetic energy or amount. Larger the amount of the molecules, larger will be the kinetic energy or larger will be the temperature. So now heat. We'll talk about heat. Heat, on the other hand, measures the total content of the molecule, total energy of the content of the molecules. So total content depends on the three factors: temperature, mass, and material of which body is made. So heat depends on three factors, but temperature depends on only one factor, that is average kinetic energy. Right? So heat depends on three factors like temperature, mass, and material of the body from which it is made. So right up to this point, then I will explain the difference between heat and temperature. So now I will explain once again thermal equilibrium. When a hot body A and a cold body B are brought in contact with each other, so they finally attain the same temperature. The hot body emits heat while the cold body absorbs energy continuously, although in unequal quantities. ठीक है? The exchange process continue until the temperature equalize. ठीक है? Suppose a body is hot and B is cold. So there is a large difference between their temperature A and B. So when they are connected to each other, so energy flow from A body to B body, right? Because A is having higher temperature and B is
So
having
can you
lower
hear me?
temperature. Yes.
Sir, my net had gone. I left the meeting.
Okay. So what is thermal equilibrium? When
I don't know. My Zoom crashed. My net was full. My Zoom crashed.
now, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
When a hot body A and cold body B are brought in contact with each other due to difference in temperature, so heat will flow from A to B, right? Due to unequal difference in the temperature, and B will absorb heat unless and until it reaches to the point A. So when there is no difference between heat from A to B, that is called thermal equilibrium. So when each object is then absorbing and emitting equal amount of energy, the object is said to be, that is called thermal equilibrium, right? Yeah, हो गया thermal equilibrium. Write this one, then I will explain heat and temperature. Now look at the difference between heat and temperature. So heat is the form of energy. It produces the sensation of warmth, and temperature is the degree and hotness of the coldness of the body, hotness and coldness of the body. So this is the main difference between heat and temperature. So heat is the form of energy, but temperature is not, it is not the form of energy, but it gives the hotness and coldness of the body, how much temperature body is having. Next point, it is the measure of total energy content of the molecules in an object, but temperature is the measure of the average kinetic energy of the object. Heat, it causes, and temperature is the effect, right? The SI unit of heat is joule or erg, but temperature unit is different. It's degree Celsius, Fahrenheit or Kelvin. So this is the main difference between heat and temperature. Now next topic is heat transfer in matter. So heat transfer in a matter by two ways. First way conduction, second way convection. So first we'll see about the conduction. So heat conduction or thermal conduction is the process by which heat transfer through a material. So when heat transfer through a material, that is called conduction. This happens in all material, being molecules in the hotter parts vibrate more quickly than molecules in the cooler parts. So when suppose we are providing heat to this part, so these particles moves faster as compared to our upper parts. So that is called conduction. Next point is molecules which move fastly collides into the more slowly molecules one and transfer energy to the older one. So this is having more energy. So A point having more energy than 2. So 1 point molecules of first point collides with the second one, and this will provide or transfer the energy or molecules to the second one. So that is called conduction. So it mostly happens in the solid particles. Now look at the next point also. Conduction is the process of heat transfer in solid material. In this process, heat is transferred from particle to the particle of the solid without actually the movement of the particles. It just transfers the energy from one point to another point, or A particle to B particle. Okay? So heat flow from the hot part of the object to the cold part of the object. So that is called heat transfer in matter. So write this point. So point to note in conductor. In conduction is first is conductor, there is, and second is insulator. So certain material like metal which allow heat to pass through them. Certain materials like sodium, potassium, copper, aluminum, zinc. These are the metals which allow the heat to pass through them. Okay? And insulator like plastic, which is which do not allow to transfer the heat from one point to another. That is called insulator. Which material doesn't allow to pass the heat, that is called insulator, and which allow, that is called conductor. So this is the type of material. Next is material that allow heat to pass through them are called good conductor of heat. material that do not allow to pass through heat through them. That is called insulator. So now next point is heat is transferred from particle to particle without particle themselves moves. Okay, that is inferred from the fact that the entire hot rod doesn't get heated at once. Okay, one by one particles heated. Right. The wax drop melts from one by one as the heat reaches the each drop gradually. That is the example of how heat transfer in a solid particle. So write this one, and here example diagram is
So
given.
can you explain the
Yes.
more and then I can write the whole
This
page
is
together?
iron rod, and one point is heated by the candle. So particle of this get more energy from the candle, and this energy is transferred to the another particle one by one. So it will take more, it will take time to reach on other side. So suppose this is a point B and this point is A. So it will take time to reach from A to B, because we have to pass the energy from one particle to another particle. Right. Now look at the plastic. So when we are hitting the plastic point, so it will melt and fall down. It will not transfer the energy one point to another point. So you on the hand side, it will not reach. It will not reach there. So it will melt on another side only. Okay. So this is the example of conductor, and this one is example of insulator. So write first about conductor and insulator.